Thanks, Colin. Now, in what appears to be a response to attacks on foreign nationals here at home, there's been several protests in Nigeria and following these looting of shops owned by foreign nationals here at home. Now, to get a sense of what's been happening there, let's now cross to our correspondent, Phil Ihaza. Phil, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the programme. We've been seeing some disturbing images, particularly on social media, on what appears to be angry people in Nigeria responding to what they've seen here in South Africa. What can you tell us?
Well, thank you so much. So far, we've seen...
Well, thank you so much. So far, we've seen quite a number of videos, pictures, footage on social media. Some of them actually have been verified that they're not recent videos, but all of that has actually contributed to inciting even more reaction from both countries, citizens of both countries. But what we know is that xenophobic attacks on foreign nationals in South Africa did not start just recently. And so it's more of a case where this recent attack that began in August 28 to September 2nd, more like is described as an incident that broke that is seen as the last straw that broke the camel's back. And therefore, we've seen quite a number of reaction from nationals. Foreign nationals. We've also seen reprisal attacks in some of those countries, including Nigeria, Zambia. Now, Nigeria has quite a number of citizens living in South Africa with businesses, and therefore some of the victims who have families back home in Nigeria have taken to the streets to protest, some of them peacefully, some violently. But of course, the government has condemned those reprisal attacks and beefed up security presence in Nigeria. So far, we're hoping that this is settled at the government level. Every possible means of diplomatic, dialogue should be explored, like we've seen so far, and the end of these attacks finally come.
So, have the attacks on South African-owned businesses stopped in the country?
Well, I can tell you categorically right now as we speak, yes, because we haven't heard any recent reports of any reprisal attacks on any South African business in Nigeria, because the last that we saw was Tuesday night and very early hours of Wednesday, until, of course, the government instructed that security personnel ensure that they provide adequate security all around the several South African businesses across the country. For example, in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, there was information that some of the outlets, the major outlets that's owned by ShopRite in Abuja, were going to be attacked. And we actually monitored that situation on Wednesday, and there were security personnel cordoning off those areas, especially one that led one at the position that leads to the international airport in Abuja. Lots of people were there, but because of the presence of security officials, they couldn't gain access to the outlet. And of course, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has released a statement saying that no Nigerian should attack any of those South African businesses in Nigeria. They've also arrested some of the suspects that they found culpable in breaking into some of the businesses, and they've arrested them even as we speak.
And what's the position that government has taken? We know that President Buhari, who we were expecting to come to South Africa, cancelled that trip, but also that he's made some statements looking for answers to what's happening in South Africa.
Yes, we know that very soon we're expecting the president of Nigeria, that's Muhammadu Buhari, to make a statement, official statement, only come after he's been debriefed from the several people that he sent or is requesting for information. For example, he sent a special envoy to South Africa to convey his displeasure to his counterpart, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and we're expecting to get that briefing latest today or before the end of the week, because they're billed to arrive today, actually. He's also asked for the Nigerian ambassador to South Africa to return to the country as well, because he's been in South Africa. He has quite a a number of information about the tax details, so he can also have those information. He has also requested for the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who has been on this matter since the crisis began, to ensure that all Nigerians in South Africa, living in South Africa, especially the victims, return home. They're coordinating with the embassy there, and one of the Nigerian airline operators, Air Peace, has also offered to bring back those Nigerians for free to back home. So all of these, we're expecting that the president will explore and give a statement to the citizens and to the world.
All right. Perhaps finally, I mean, it's always very difficult to try and gauge national sentiment based on what we see on social media. But we are seeing prominent musicians and artists cancelling trips to South Africa. Are they taking their lead from what they believe is the general national sentiment towards what's happening in this country?
Well, I'll say that most of the artists, the high-profile Nigerians, took their lead from what I call, what I tried to explain at the beginning, that it's been on for a while. You recall in 2008, where over 62 foreign nationals were killed in 1 month. In 2015, xenophobic attacks again occurred. And so it's something that has been on, and they feel that the government hasn't done enough up till this time to insist that there's adequate security for Nigerians or other foreign nationals living in South Africa. So I would really not say they bear the exact sentiment, but I'll say they bear some form or a larger percentage of the sentiment of aggrieved Nigerians, especially with the fact that some of them are boycotted some shows that they were billed to attend in South Africa. Some are saying they will never step their foot in South Africa again. Although the South African embassy in Nigeria has also tried to see how they can, amend ways that it's something they call cultural exchange. They brought that proposition to several youth organizations like the National Association of Nigerian Students, and they turned it down. So I believe that most of them are waiting to see if indeed the government will step in and this matter is settled, or else they'll just keep bearing the grievances on social media. But yes, most of them actually bear a higher percentage of the sentiment on ground.
All right, Phil, that's where we'll leave it. That's our correspondent in Nigeria, Phil Ihaza, giving us an update, saying that the attacks on South African-owned businesses has ceased in the country, but it's a situation certainly that we're going to keep monitoring for you.